Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I do appreciate you watching. This part of the Road to Recovery series I was hoping to release last week, but hey, yeah, we get moments with hemiplegic and could have been better times last week, but hey, here we are. Now the title of the video is Causes of Stress. Now, if you're subscribed, wonderful. If you're not, you're not. But if you've tuned in and because of the title Causes of Stress, because you're feeling stressed at the moment, the reason why I'm talking about stress and the causes of stress is that I suffer from something called a hemiplegic migraine, and there are many sufferers throughout the world, not just with hemiplegic migraines, but all forms of migraines or migraines, however you want to pronounce it. But it doesn't mean that it's not relevant for you. Stress is relevant for everybody who's feeling it. So that explains the if you've just tuned in, you're thinking, well, what's Matt yakking on about again? I yak on a lot as well, okay? This is going to be a long video because there is going to be a lot to cover. It's probably going to be, I don't know, 45 minutes, who knows, half an hour. But if you are feeling the strain and you are stressed, then I leave it to you whether you think it's worth watching. I'll go through a list of things. And also, the other thing I want to clear up before we go any further is that I made a video, do I monetize my channel or not? And I put the video out there and the feedback was, Matt, everybody does it, just do it. So you'll see the 54321 videos, adverts at the beginning, but you'll probably see adverts throughout the video and at the end, and maybe boxes. I don't know what you're going to see. I don't know how often. It would be interesting to hear whether there are too many. I gave my reasons for not being too happy about monetizing in the video because I just thought that there's too many adverts, but I'm now looking at it as an experiment, and when I get paid my first payment, I will explain everything in full, the full monetization process. Yeah, what a pain. But anyway, let's crack on. I've yacked on enough now, and hopefully I've explained everything. Now, I asked people for comments or emails, what stresses them out and what causes stress in their life. And top of the list, yeah, do you love my Harry Potter glasses again? And for the older ones of you, Harold Lloyd, the good old black and white films. Top of the list, which wasn't a surprise, is money. And money in this day and age, I call it, we're living in survival times, because everything is just, well, the world's gone mad. It's as simple as that. We had quite a few years of plenty, and when I say that, that was around about the 90s, and people were quite happy spending the money, credit cards, everything, what have you. But then we had the crash in 2008, 2009, somewhere around there. And it seems that people haven't learnt their any lessons. Sorry if I come across as saying that everybody does, but a certain part of society, and they still put it on the credit card and get themselves in debt. They want this, they want that, and you know, there's a number of psychological reasons behind it. Could be that they grew up with nothing, and they didn't have much money growing up, and now that they're older, they want those things. Some people just aspire to have nice things. There's so many reasons, but money is a big problem. And I remember as a child, I visited my auntie's house, and I was only a nipper. I was only 4, somewhere around there, and she had a plate, brass plate on a window, and it said something to the effect of, the best place to live is just within inside your income. And as a nipper, I could sort of understand it, being that young, 3 or 4, but never has a truer word been spoken. And it's very, very difficult nowadays to live within your income. If you're husband, wife, if you're husband, wife, wife, whatever, partners, everything costs so much that it seems that you've both got to work unless one of you is on just a phenomenal amount of money. But money, especially during COVID, with furlough, you know, trying to make money stretch and everything, it's been a tough old time. And whether you've had to cut back or not, I don't know. But then some people, a friend said to me, she said, I bought a lovely party dress on the internet, and this was during lockdown, the first serious lockdown, that you couldn't go anywhere apart from shopping. And she said, you know, she had a friend take a photo of it. She said, what do you think? I said, yeah, lovely. And I thought, what the blinking heck are you buying a party dress for during the most severe lockdown we've ever experienced? When are you going to wear it? Why have you bought it? And yeah, it just baffled me. But it seems that, yeah, the world is expensive. Houses are expensive, and it then means that both partners, husband, wife, whatever, both need to work, not only to pay the mortgage or the rent, but to live. And at the end of the month, there's not a lot of money left nowadays. And there are ways to cope with money stress, which I will do in the next part 2 of this. But it might be that, say, you're married and one of you hasn't got any, doesn't worry about money at all. Right, oh, put it on the credit card, it'll be honest, it'll be okay. Put it on HP, oh well, it'll be fine. And they don't worry about money at all. They'll rack up 20 grand in debt, no problem. Yet the other person in the relationship will be absolutely terrified, and then the other one says, well, I want this, and they say, well, we can't afford it. Or just put it on a credit card. Oh, we're up to our limit. Oh, don't worry, get another credit card, it'll be fine. So you can see the stresses, and that is apart from the normal day-to-day living of people who try and stay within their income. And money is a big, it's a huge subject that causes stress. And if you don't agree when you're living with somebody on money, then you're on the slippery slope. You'll never come to terms and be on the same level field, singing off the same sheet, should we say. And you'll be on the slippery slope and just heading further into debt. But it's extremely difficult, even if you're on 2 good wages. It's just so hard nowadays. So money came top of the list. The second one, not surprisingly, is job, causing stress. It can range from a number of things. Commuting, people working with toxic people, being bullied, being sexually harassed, and that goes for men and women. There are many causes. And also reaching targets. You haven't reached your target. Why not? You're dragged into the office and all this sort of thing. And if we look at a couple who've both got good jobs, we'll take an example. In life, you finish school and yeah, you have a girlfriend, you have a boyfriend, whatever, and then you finally think you've found somebody that you want to live with. So you live together, and that is the sort of getting to know each other, whether you are suitable. You think you're suitable, that you want to get married, you know you want to get married, and then you want a life together. And during those years, you go out and you have your meals, you enjoy life, the holidays, everything else, and what have you. And then you decide to get married, because you just have built up that solid foundation and that love for each other. So you get married, and then you decide to have a family. And when it comes to a family, sometimes people don't think it out enough. There's never a right time to have a baby, no matter what age you are. But children do cost a lot of money. So if we take 2 working parents who are on, pretty good wage, right, all of a sudden they have the most precious thing in the world, they have in their arms, a baby, but they're working. So you get up, hopefully you have breakfast, you've got to get that baby dressed, everything, the bag sorted, and then, right, okay, which one's taking the child to childcare today? And then you decide, and then it's like, right, off you go in your cars, you're going to work, right, bish bash bosh, you've got to drop the child off at childcare, right, here's all the stuff, right, I've got to get back in the car, right, I've got to get to work by a certain time, and you either drive in or you get on the train. So you've got to park the car, so you're travelling by train, and then you've got to commute. And then you get on the train, and it's just, just got there. So already your heart is pumping. The stress levels from getting up, sorting the baby out, dropping the baby off, and just making it to the train in time. Your heart is pumping. In your subconscious, you don't know that you're getting stressed. It was just like, oh, thank goodness I made the train. But then you're crammed in like sardines. Now, in Britain, the trains aren't very good, especially the Eastern line. of our country. It is the worst line. Crammed in like sardines. All the trains are never on time. Not very good trains. Always problems. You name it. Point failures, the whole lot. And you're looking at your watch and you're thinking, am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? And then you come to a station and then more people come on. So you have to shift along a bit more. And this goes on and on and on. And then finally you get, let's say you work in London. Oh, God. A city full of concrete. People on their mobile phones. Time and money. And you're rushing, you're on your phone, yeah, I'll be there, text messages, emails, all this sort of thing while you're walking along. You finally get to your workplace and then you sit down at your desk and you've gone through all that just to get to your desk. And then on top of it, you might love your job, which is fantastic, but then you might absolutely loathe your job. And you're looking at your watch, counting down the hours. And then once you've finished work, you've got to do it all in reverse. You've got to get that train. You've got to get back. Who's going to pick up that child from childcare? And then by the time you get home and the baby is probably being fed in childcare, well, right, okay, maybe the baby has to be washed or whatever, you know, but bathed, and then you put the baby to bed, and then finally, oh, you've got to eat, right, we've got to prepare food now, and then all of a sudden, right, it's time to go to bed. Groundhog Day. Now, that slips in with money. All of a sudden, you're paying for childcare. And you're noticing that your money is going down. But if one of you gives up your job, how are you going to pay your mortgage? How are you going to pay your bills? So you've got to have childcare. So you've got to pay for childcare. And then you've got to pay for commuting, which I know some people, or a lot of people, travel from up north down to London and from West Wales to London. And it's a good 3 hours commute each way. And that's on top of who's going to pick up the child. And on top of your day's work, maybe working with toxic people. Maybe they're targeting you. Maybe you've been bullied, sexually harassed by your boss. Maybe that could be male or female. Bullied. All these sort of things just add up and just stress you out. And with money and a child, well, you've seen the child in the morning and you've put the baby to bed, and then by the time you've eaten, you haven't really seen your child. You can't, it's only like moments that you see them growing up. And it's the world we live in. It's just, you need the money. But you wanted a family as well. So, all this commuting, all this, everything is just piling the pressure on you. And everything that is happening at work is just creating so many problems. And to be bullied or sexually harassed is, really hard. And toxic people. Oh, Lord, yeah. So already you can see, just from money, your job, relationships, husband and wife, that can create stress. Because, as I said, you've gone through the phase where you've decided to settle down, you got married, you have a family. But then maybe one of you just, it's not what you expected, and then you'll go down the gym, and then you go down the gym rather than 3 times a week, you'll be going down 5 times a week, because you just don't want the stress or the hassle or the responsibility of looking after the child or the baby. And then that puts more stress on the other partner to do the housework, to prepare all the food and think ahead and look after the baby and etc, etc. So relationships create a lot of stress. And if you've been together for a number of years and you've got 2, 3 children, if you don't work on your relationship, then quite often, if I phrase it that one of the people in the relationship might think the grass is greener the other side, God, what stress is created then? Unbelievable. And amongst other feelings, anger, yeah, all the rest of it that goes with it, with splitting up. But and also you might wake up one day and you'll think, I don't know who you are. You're not the person I've married. And there's an atmosphere in the house. And even though you're trying to make, if I say, it a friendly sort of, to get on in front of the children, kids can feed off the bad. They know something's wrong and they ask questions. And yeah, they know. So relationships can be extremely stressful. Where you live, oh goodness, this can cover all sorts. You could live in a city surrounded by concrete, surrounded by masses of people, crowds, as I said, all on their mobile phones. People just don't, it's like they got a magnet or Velcro with their phone to their ear, and everybody rushing around, time and money, and everything's just so fast and concrete. And where are the open spaces, the green open spaces? It's just concrete, it's just roads, it's just cars everywhere, it's just people just so living in a city can be extremely stressful. A built-up area can be stressful, on the outskirts. Perhaps you're not living in a very salubrious area, and that stresses you out because you're living in fear of perhaps drugs are going on in your area, and you're afraid to go out. You go to work, but you come back and then you just shut the door. And it's just like playing on your mind. Well, what are they up to across the road and what's going on? And you're living on eggshells, sort of thing. So where you live can also play a part. Well, this is just got to be the worst cause of stress. Being a carer, a full-time carer. Whether you're a full-time carer for a child and your baby has been born with, whatever, and needs full-time care, the stress factors are unbelievable. They're just shooting through the roof. You got no time to yourself. It's just full-on hospital visits all the time. I can't put into words how difficult it is being a carer. You just you're exhausted all the time. If you're lucky enough to have family nearby to help you, and they understand what is wrong with your child and what, your parents or one of your parents, come over there to give you a break, that's great. That is fantastic. Or if you've got a brother or sister and they're willing to help you out, they can see how you're suffering. Wonderful. If you haven't got any of that backup, oh, dear God, yeah. You have carers in, but you've got to pay for the carers, and they're very limited as to what they can do. And basically that just gives you time to go out shopping and you're clock watching, and by the time you get back, put everything back in the cupboard and get yourself sorted. It's time for the carers to go, and you're on the go all the time, and you're awake because there's some problem, or you're just on alert all the time. And that, take it from me, that is the hardest job in the world. The stress, it just breaks you. It really does break you. And if you know of anybody who's a carer, or you see them with a child in a wheelchair, take the time of day to talk to them, because sometimes they're by themselves, nobody talks to them, and just stop and chat. And they might not want to chat, but at least you've made the effort. Also, our parents are living longer, and it's fine when they're fit and healthy, but when they need care, parents are living well into their 80s, 90s, everything, and quite often children are retired and their parents are still alive, which years ago it was unheard of. It's very rare. And when I was younger, if you heard that somebody had died, say 56 or 58, somewhere around 60, you say, well, that was a good innings, they did all right. Well, now people are just living to goodness knows what age. I think that age group over the next decade or two will come down, and but it's still difficult looking after your parents, and especially when they got like dementia or Alzheimer's, and there's all sorts of problems that comes with old age. It's fine living to an old age, as my parents say, it's fine living to an old age as long as you're fit and healthy. But if you've got dementia and Alzheimer's, or other problems wrong with yourself, then my parents and other people have said, because a number of my neighbours are elderly, they all say, well, it's just a miserable life, for everybody concerned. And being a carer, whether for a child or whether for parents or whatever age, stress factors are off the scale. Unbelievable. Another one which was quite interesting was anticipation of an event. Anticipation of going to a doctor's, anticipation of perhaps going shopping. And perhaps when you're anticipating, might be a big presentation, might be going for a job interview. The anticipation of doing those things causes stress. Now, people who go to the doctors or maybe go shopping or whatever, the anticipation of that, they're probably suffering from depression. But the anticipation of doing a presentation along those lines, that's probably just nerves that you're wondering, oh, am I going to get the contract, and what have you. But that was an interesting one raised, anticipation of an event. And also crowds are another source of stress. Being amongst all these people, being hustled and bustled and everything, out shopping and in the high street. Perhaps I think one of the worst things that I could go to for crowds, and I can link the two of anticipation and crowds, is going to a pop concert. Because the anticipation of knowing that I'm going to be amongst all these crowds, and it'll do my head in. But suffering with a hemiplegic migraine or a migraine, you'll have all these lights that go with the pop concerts. You'll have the music very, very loud, and then to top it off, you've got the crowds. And really, days of me going to pop concerts have long gone. Just can't do it, and it's unfair on the person that I'm going with to the pop concert to cope with me being ill. It's unfair on the stewards and the people to cope with me having an episode, and there's no point taking me to hospital because there's nothing they can do for me. So if I was taken to hospital, then that's unfair on the NHS and just a waste of the ambulance resources, NHS resources as well. So yeah, there's just no point me going. It's just something that I can't do. So hopefully, I know it's a long video, but hopefully now that I've touched on those things, you can maybe have a think and take some time to yourself and think, actually, that does cause me stress. And the whole point of this video is not only just causes of stress, you've got to work out what is causing you stress. And when you get to that cause of your stress, then we can start talking about coping with stress, ways to cope. If you don't know what's stressing you out, then you're bound to know. You're bound to know what is stressing you out. Think about it in your day-to-day life. What is doing your head in, or what things do your head in? You know, it could be on the list that I've just mentioned that people have emailed me and commented. It might be something else. You might have OCD. I've got a touch of OCD. Some things might stress you out that way. There's a whole plethora of reasons to be stressed, but just for once, give yourself some me time and sort the kids out and everything. Do what you got to do. But even if you got to lock yourself inside the toilet and maybe just lie in the bath, have a nice bath, and just think to yourself, think hard. Because if you're really stressed, this will develop into, tension, obviously comes with stress, but it will develop into depression. And if you have bad depression, there's not a lot of coming back from that. Your life will be even more miserable than it is now. So take your time. Also with relationships, I forgot to say, one of the worst to be in is an abusive relationship. And quite often people think that women are abused. Don't forget, men get abused, and physically, mentally, and men of that sort of, if I say, when they're being abused like that, they don't lash out. They tend not to have the sort of demeanor to lash out and hit, and they take the beating, they take the abuse, the mental abuse, and it is very, very difficult and very, very difficult to get out of. Please leave comments what causes you stress if it's not on the list, or if you can relate to it. If it's too personal for a comment and you don't want the world to see, just email me. I always leave my email address, and just if you want to offload, fine, it's not a problem. As you can see with what I've mentioned today, I haven't mentioned any names or anything. I just say I've had emails or comments or whatever from people. So hopefully you've related to a lot of the causes of stress, and if they're not on the list, please let me know. And excuse me. And as I said, you've got to take some me time. maybe just go out for a walk, go and sit in the park, or somewhere quiet, and just think what causes you stress. It might probably just isn't one thing, it's probably a number of things. And once you know the cause, then we'll be able to have ways of coping with it. And in the next video, coping with stress, you won't like my answers, or some people won't like me for my answers, but it's common sense and it is what it is. There's only one of those that I can't think of a way of getting any release of stress from. But I will do a part 2 of coping with stress, and hopefully you'll be able to take some of those coping methods on board. Some could be completely life-changing. It's entirely up to you what sort of life you want to live. Sorry, I keep touching my computer. I'm uploading a video. But some might be completely life-changing. It all depends how stressed you are, tension, depressed. Are you happy? If you're not happy, well, what's the point in being miserable and not doing anything about it? Do you want to live like this for the rest of your life? I got to put a disclaimer out there. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a qualified sort of in any medical field. This is just my own experiences, ideas and opinions, and also what people have contributed to causes of stress. So I have to put a disclaimer out there, and that is my disclaimer, so we're all above board. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you've got something from it. I hope it's made you think, and I hope now you will think about yourself and put yourself forward before other people, or just, like I said, put the kids to bed, whatever, and have some me time and think about yourself, okay? And just what is stressing you out? You've got to work it out. And I will love you and leave you. I did say it was going to be a long video. I hope you've been able to stay to the end. And I will say, please stay safe and well. And I will see you in the next video of ways to cope with stress. But hopefully this has got you thinking now, and yeah, you have some me time and write down everything down that bothers you, and whenever there's a problem, there's always a solution. Okay, so I will see you on the next one. Thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate it, and hopefully we're helping each other with your comments to me or your emails to me, and hopefully I'm helping you with ideas that I'm coming up with in the video, and yeah, we're helping each other basically. So that's what it's all about, and this is only trigger number 1 of the triggers that cause hemiplegic migraine and migraines. So I'll see you on the next one. Look after yourselves, and thank you very much for tuning in. See you soon. Bye now.